You were a member of parliament, I think, for 3 years in South Africa's first democratic parliament. How do you look back on that? With any degree of surprise? I mean, did you ever think, how did I get here?
Yes, completely.
And once you'd finished thinking about that, do you feel that it was a productive time of your life?
No, I mean, if I think about it, I had set the precedent for it already when I was 15, 14. I chose to do Latin, for example. Helen Suzman, she was sort of what the example I could access. She inspired me.
Woman in parliament speaking up for what she believed was
alone
right.
in parliament also. Alone. Yes. She was so many years alone. So, and in a way, it was, I sensed the power of law. I sensed the power of the pen. So I went to Rhodes. I got a scholarship to study journalism. But fell in love with theatre and then ended up at UCT, loved theatre, music, creativity. I mean, I've always had many of these things. But the activism, when I was pulled into SAMA, South African Musicians Alliance, especially when the boycott came. As musicians in the 80s, we were not allowed to leave the country. We had to get permission. It was a very difficult time. But I think because I was impassioned and could articulate. I was gifted with being able to articulate and speak on behalf of. So I got appointed into these positions, ended up going to Amsterdam, meeting ANC in exile, things like... So consequentially, when the nomination on this proportional representational list that I go to Parliament, it was a surprise, huge, but it was also...
Okay.
I could understand.
That makes sense. Now, one of the things that happened when you were in Parliament, in fact didn't happen, I understand that you wanted to deliver your maiden speech as a song. Can you tell us about that? What were you going to sing? Were you going to present your speech?
It was actually not the maiden speech, but it was a health debate. And the abortion bill, I mean, this is the contradictions that were so difficult. The abortion... Nobody was speaking abortion. And in part of my difficult journey, have also had to make the choice to have an abortion, an illegal abortion in South Africa.
An illegal one.
An illegal one when I was 21, 22. A very painful decision. The illegal abortion didn't work. And the mother of my partner then very kindly gave me a ticket to London as an emergency. So I'm very committed to the whole abortion thing. And the part of this song that I wanted to sing to push that we could open the debate for the abortion, we could open debate, not be instructed how to vote, open debate, was the ballad of Marie Farrar written by Bertolt Brecht. And I think Isla did the music, a very simple ballad, but a strong story of a woman who basically kills her own baby.
Can you give us the key chorus or?
I can't do it now because it's not, but it was a very, very powerful poetry within it. It was a socialist verse. But when somehow one journalist saw that I'd come to the Parliament with a guitar and asked for permission to film it or record it, Chief Whip Stofile heard of it, and I got this little note on a silver tray saying, on no account are you allowed to sing Comrade Ferguson. Okay. So I immediately got up and went to Comrade Stofile, and I'm saying, but it's Brecht. Yes. Comrade, it's Brecht.
Yes.
It's a socialist poem. And he goes, Comrade, you don't understand. We are lowering the tone of the Parliament. We are lowering the tone. And meanwhile, we've got this heckling culture that we've got from Westminster where people are throwing insults and, So it was very, very difficult for me. I was sad. Because I realized the gift that I come with, maybe the space cannot receive the gift of what I have to bring. And out of that, a year later, or 2 years later it was about, when the abortion legislation came up, very difficult. No discussion allowed. Caucus was instructed, we will vote yes. When I went home to read this terminology, it was shocking for me. I'd given birth to my second child. We'd had very important, you can say, inspired texts during the pregnancy that made me aware that there could be a very vibrant consciousness of the unborn child.
So your position was not that you were opposed to legal
No.
abortion. You wanted a more complex
Yes.
and nuanced conversation
Exactly.
that looked at various issues. Did you come to accept, though, that in some areas of life, and politics may well be one, there isn't always a place for nuance, that you need someone to be decisive and definitive, black and white if they have to be? Or is that something you're going to spend your life never accepting, that it has to be that way?
You see, I mean, this is a good question, because maybe this is also my response with the Jordan thing. It's about this grey area, this nuance where there's contradictions, complexities in a way, and what level are we going to address it? I think as a person on a spiritual path or whatever, sometimes you have what's called level confusion, maybe.
Yes.
You know, so on one level, female feticide, the selective abortion of females, when we give abortion, when we allow abortion, how do we control that aspect, for example? That demands more rigorous thinking, more rigorous investigation, and I cannot compromise on that.
You're back in South Africa, a series of concerts that you're doing. I want to just ask you this about Sweden, though. You said about Sweden, I can work and walk in peace of Sweden. Yeah. But obviously, apart from this being the land of your birth, what do you get from being here? Because presumably, nothing in your life suggests that you've always wanted to be left in peace. Quite the contrary.
Sorry. Yeah, maybe.
Not in peace all the time,
God,
at least.
I'm born a warrior. You know, yes. God, I'm trying to.
But you need to be back here, don't you?
No, for sure. And Sweden's got this word lagom. It's beautiful. Lagom can be seen as mediocrity or middle of the road. But no, Africa, when I'm like in this garden, the diversity of the bird life, just the beautiful, extraordinary, rich diversity is also reflected in South Africa's people. And this capacity to be both informal but very elegant.
Yes.
Very elegant in the way that we do things. A courage of kind of creative inventiveness. We maak a plan.
Yes.
You know, we're not bound by old traditions that become... And we've got this thing also amongst people that do not have much, but had this capacity to share the little that is, to take in children, even though you haven't got a lot. We call, you know, Ubuntu's become such a tired thing, but it's a very profound concept. It acknowledges the communal and the communion of us as a human family and the necessity that we need each other.
Jennifer, I always finish off the show by offering my guests 3 wishes, which I have no power to grant. But wish number 1.
Come on, Joe.
What's your wish for South African women who've been raped?
I wish them courage, empowerment, and peace to disclose and follow their path of healing, whatever form it takes, and that they be met by the system appropriately.
What's your wish for men who have committed rape?
I wish them to be healed. I wish them to have the dignity of ownership of their transgression, the capacity to ask for forgiveness and to make appropriate reparation and start again.
And Jennifer, what's your wish for yourself?
That I can live my life ferociously, honestly, fearlessly, joyfully, happily in celebration of the gift of it. Yeah.
Jennifer Ferguson, thanks for sharing time with us on Under the Skin.
Thank you, all of you. You've been fantastic.